Hello again and welcome to another edition of Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds, with of course a special focus on the exhibition budgerigar. And the last episode was totally on the budgerigars and was actually quite a long episode. I think it was over 50 minutes long. Sorry about that. I normally try to keep the episodes down to about 20 to 30 minutes because that seems like a reasonable viewing time, but in order to get all of the young birds through, it meant that we extended it, or it was a bit of a longer video, almost twice as long as normal, so up to, I think it was just over, like I say, just over 50 minutes. So my apologies for those of you who thought it was too long. For those of you that enjoy the extra long video, then grateful for your support. On the subject of support, don't forget, if you do enjoy the videos, do hit the like button, and of course if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, then please do subscribe. I know there are lots and lots of YouTube channels out there, so thanks to all of those of you who take the time to subscribe to the channel and to watch Shed Talk. It really is appreciated, and again, for those of you that take the time to comment on the videos, I do try to answer all of the comments that come through, and generally they're really supportive comments. So once again, thank you very much for that. So in terms of this particular episode, what have we got for you? Well, as we focused on the budgerigars in the last video, this video will go out to the finch and fife flight and have a look at how those fifes are getting on. We will have a quick look at some of a couple of new additions to the birds room in here, so a couple of new additions to the budgerigars, and also a quick update on the eggs in cage number 1. But as I say, main focus on this episode will be of course the fifes. So let's go out there now and take a look at fifes from breeding to bench. So we are back out here in the finch and fife flight to have a look mainly at what's going on behind me in the breeding cages for the fifes, and it's been all going here since the last time we looked. I think a couple of weeks ago was the last time we were in here. So I suppose the first thing I'd say is that the hen built up a nest, a really nice second nest, and began to lay. This time she only laid 4 eggs. You may remember in the first round she laid 5, of which one was clear, but this time she laid 4 eggs. I have now reset those eggs probably about 2 days ago. I think I put them back under there. So that's the first bit of news. She now sat on 4 eggs. I haven't candled any of those yet. I've got a few days before I need to do that, but touch wood, given that we had 4 full eggs in the first round, I'm hoping that we will get at least 2 or 3 in this round. So that's the first bit of news. Then we've got a hen now on her second round, and we have some like I say, we have 4 eggs. The second thing that we've done is all of the chicks that were in that cage have now been moved to their own cages. The main reason for moving them, well, I suppose firstly, I think they're old enough. It's always a bit of a panic, isn't it? Particularly as I've never weaned Fife canaries before. But I've seen all of them picking up seed and the soft food, and also some of the chickweed that I put in there, and they've also been pecking at the broccoli that I put in there. So I'm reasonably confident that they are all feeding themselves. The other thing that happened was the cock fife from the pair that's in there began to chase around one of the youngsters, and I'm sort of assuming, I don't know, those people that keep canaries let me know, sort of assuming it may be a young cock canary in there that he sees as a bit of a threat. So he started chasing it around. Nothing major, you know, there wasn't any fighting or anything. And the other thing that was happening was whenever the hen was off of the nest or the nest pan, some of the youngsters would go and inspect it, sit on it, and I was a bit worried that they may upset the hen. So I've moved them all now into the cage below, which is what I said at the beginning I was going to do. And I've separated it out, so there's 2 one side and 2 the other. Since I've moved them in, I did that today, but since moving them in I've been watching them. I've seen all 4 of the chicks picking up seed and also accessing the soft food dish. So again, I'm hopeful that they are all feeding themselves. I've heard one of the youngsters calling and it's been replied to by the hen with a short trill, so I don't know whether that's one of the youngsters is a cockbird just learning his song or what. I'm not really sure whether he was calling for food. But I say I'm reasonably happy that they're all picking up. So how have I split the 4 of them up? What I've done is I've put 2 one side and 2 the other, and I've got a clear in with either a ticked bird and a clear in with the variegated bird. So my reasoning behind that is that if when I'm watching them, hear one of the youngsters starting to sing, I'll be able to make a mental note as to which one was in, whether it was in the left hand side or the right hand side, and whether it was the ticked bird or the ticked or variegated bird or the clear bird. I hope that makes sense. Putting a clear, separating the 2 clears means I'm not getting confused about which of the clears if either of them start to sing, and likewise with the variegated and slightly ticked bird. So that was my thinking behind the way I've separated them out. I will clearly need to keep an eye on them over the next few days or so, just to make absolutely certain that they are feeding. But like I say, I'm reasonably happy that they are. And then later on in the week or beginning of next week, we will of course be candling those eggs, and we will find out whether we've got any of them full. So really good news out here from the finch and fife flight, particularly with those finches. Touch wood, we'll have a decent second round, and we may have a few birds that we can put out on the show bench later on in the year, possibly even in July when we've got my Oxford 1910 young bird show. Who knows? Don't think I'll get any out for the nest feather show, mainly because I just don't have any cages just yet, so I'm still searching around for those. There we go, that's it from out here then with the Fifes and with the finches. I've been a bit snowed under lately with doing some work because it's exam season and I do a little bit of invigilating, which ties me up for most of the day actually, and so I haven't had a chance to do anything with the finches just yet, but we've got half term coming up, so a bit of clear space there, and I will be, like I say, cleaning this out and putting some nest boxes up in the finch flight. Okay, so let's go back in now and take a quick look at what's been going on in the budgerigar flight. So we enjoyed that little look at the Fifes, and it does all seem to be going very, very well out there. I must admit that there's one particular of the young Fifes that is calling continuously to the adults in the cage above. It's the youngest one. Remember, there was one that was a day younger than all the others and looks a bit smaller. I have seen it pecking at seeds. I've seen it picking up, and I've seen it eating the soft food. So I'm hoping that I haven't moved that particular bird too early. I know that I've had suggestions that what I should have done is to separate that breeding cage out, keep the 2 adults on one side and put the 4 youngsters on the other side so they could feed through the bars. I haven't done that. Only time will tell if that's a big mistake on my part. So anyway, that's the Fifes, and all going at the moment, all seems to be going well out there. So in here, in the budgerigar breeding room then, I did say I had a couple of new birds to the shed. These were a gift to me. They're slightly older birds, birds that were used this year in a for breeding, and the person who gifted them to me, Terry Sadler, most appreciated Terry for that, isn't going to use them again, and I may well get a season out of them. Like I say, they're older birds. They didn't cost me anything, so therefore I'm hopefully, you know, again I'm touching wood, if I can get something off them in September, October, November, the lead up to the beginning of the early part of the next breeding season, then I will be happy. If I don't, I won't really have lost anything. So one of them is a dominant pied, so is a light green, I believe, a light green dominant pied. So quite a nice looking bird. They're currently in one of the old breeding cages that have closed down, just being going through that isolation period, just to make absolutely certain that A, they're not bringing anything in, that they're not under the weather, and also that they will have some introduction to my bird room before going into the main flight. So like I say, the first one then is this light green dominant pied, reasonable, quite a nice looking bird. And the other one is a new variety for me in my shed, and a variety that I must admit I'm not overly a fan. I think it's, you know, it's not one of the varieties that I would particularly go out of my way to have, but it will be a new challenge for me in the shed, and that is a lutino. So we have lutino, both are cockbirds. So both I'm hoping we'll be able to, I'll get something off next year. Of course, the lutino, being sex-linked, I'm only ever going to, and being a cockbird, I'm only ever going to get hens off of that, and then split cockbirds. So and maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, in a future video. In the meantime, if you're interested in how the sex-linked variety works, then do have a look at my video on that. I think it's under, you should be able to find it on the channel website, and there's also a booklet that goes with those videos that talks about the various varieties and the inheritance of those varieties, so the genetics of the birds. So, and that can be found over on the Shed Talk Facebook page. So 2 new birds, 1 new variety, but 2 new birds into the shed, and with any luck, you know, we'll be able to use those in the next breeding season. So I did say we'd have a quick look at the pair in cage number 1 and a quick update on what's going on in there. You may remember we've got 4 eggs in there off of their own that are full, and then we moved 2 from cage number 9 into cage 1 as well. So we've got 6 full eggs in there. They're actually all quite close, due to hatch quite close together, because the first of their eggs were clear, so it's the last 4. So there's only going to be about, I don't know, about 6 days between the first egg hatching and the last egg hatching. So I'm hoping that that will mean that none of the chicks are going to get squashed or left behind, just in terms of competing with all the chicks in there. 6 is a lot for them to bring up. They haven't brought up any chicks previously, so I'm hoping that they will cope with all 6 of those youngsters. I've got nowhere else to move them to anyway, so it's not like I could move any eggs around. Final pair that I've got down, really, the pair in cage 3 that I will be splitting very shortly, not done anything, so you know, there's nothing in there. There's no hen's not, you know, she goes in there spots occasionally, but there's no sign of laying. So I will have to hope that these can bring all of them up. Well, that's the end of this episode. So slightly shorter, or back to our slightly shorter length of episodes, and compared with the extremely long one in the last episode. Let me know your thoughts on, you know, I personally think 20 minutes, 30 minutes is about right, but if you think they should be longer, let me know and we'll see what we can do. As I say, if you do enjoy the videos, don't forget to hit the like button, do share the videos as much as you like, and of course do subscribe, but most importantly, until the next one, do stay safe and enjoy your birds.